from UK, and she has joined us. Today's topic is very important topic, the importance of mental health and well-being, particularly among young people, youth in our education sector. Zeenat Noorani is very well-known person in her domain. She's expert in mindset and well-being, expert coach. She's known as the clarity coach. She clarifies all the doubts of our life, and she's a mission of mental well-being. And this is what her passion and mission and everything, what she's doing it. Thank you very much, Zeenat Noorani, for giving me a time, and thank you for your presence. I'm really honored and excited to have you here today, and we are going to have amazing session, and I hope our audience will have some questions as well. Over to you. Please tell us about yourself. I have a lot of things to tell, but better you explain yourself.
Well, you can ask the questions. But no, thank you for having me, Imran. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to be here with you live. I know we resonate with a lot of things in terms of when it comes to coaching, NLP, the neuro-linguistic side of things. You know, you based in Dubai, me based in the UK, where I actually grew up in Dubai myself from the age of 4 years old till I was 18. So yes, you know, there's a lot of commonalities and things, but of course you've seen Dubai changing a lot, and I'm sure within the education system as well, because your children there. But yes, so I'm Zeenat Noorani, the Clarity Coach. I'm the founder of Vida de la Mariposa Coaching, which means life of a butterfly, because it's all about the transformation. I'm also the co-founder and director of the Let's Talk Better campaign, which I run with a dear friend of mine who I actually met through networking, called Darren Wheel of Intune PR. So he focuses on media, getting people noticed in the media. Absolutely fantastic is a job. He supports me in what I do, does a lot of PR work as well. So a little plug for him as well. So yes, so what do I do? Right, gosh, I don't even know where to start in terms of my story. But fundamentally, for me, the important is about having the foundations of your mental health and well-being, your mindset. There are lots of categories, as you know, Imran. You know, when we look at the NLP side of things, you know, your belief systems, your values, your confidence, all of these aspects are so important. Not only for adults, but for children. And I've come to learn this being an ex-primary teacher. So I used to be a teacher working in the education sector. So I have experience there of the successes and the challenges and how important it is for young people to have great mental health. But also it's not just about giving them the tools and strategies, but it's about getting them to understand the importance of it and how it impacts on themselves, but also on other people. Do you know what? If I'd had these tools when I was younger, I would have definitely handled certain situations better. I probably would have had more confidence in myself, because I did have a challenging upbringing in terms of my own confidence, the way the schools targeted children in their abilities, should I say. So yes, that's kind of where it stems from. But also, once I qualified, you know, went to university and I qualified and had my degree and everything, I went off and followed my passion, which was great. So I'm kind of jumping around here at the moment.
Carry on. This is what I wanted. Be natural in your flow.
Oh, that's fine. Then I don't want to confuse you or anyone else. But
anyways, we have questions in coming up, so we'll pick up those points. Carry on, please.
We will, yes. So I used to be a professional figure skater. So when so I qualified as an interior designer. Never worked in that field because I was so passionate about sports, because that was my strength, and I fell in love with it, and that's what I followed through. So you know. How many of us can actually say that we have a passion that we love from day one that we start? I got to travel the world, meet amazing people. I got paid for my job. You know, what else could I say? And I had a wealth of cultural experience. But that's not to say it came with its challenges. So that will take me back to why, you know, if I'd had the ability to understand myself better, the mindset around confidence, resilience, while I was skating, things may have been different. You know, I suffered with body image because you have to maintain your body in a certain way, certain size, shape, all of these kind of factors, it, you know, impacts you. And actually, I'm not going to talk too much about my past, but all that experience, children of today are finding these issues challenging. You know, the confidence around their body image. And that's a really huge aspect within, you know, schools, because there's that competitiveness. But not only that, you know, a lot of people are exposed more than ever before to digital media.
Yeah, that's great. Now, coming back to again some of other areas of your personality and your passion and your work which you are doing it. So I will just highlight few more things which I think you are so generous, which you don't want to mention everything. You are therapist. You are integral eye movement therapist also, IEMT as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Because
do.
recently I got connected with you about this, and we'll talk about this. So you are IEMT therapist. You are hypnosis coach. You do podcasting in UK. Give me some little bit about that podcast sessions which you do there.
Gosh, Imran, you're giving me too much credit. Okay. Let me say, first of all these different qualifications and tools that I have in my back pocket are, there's a purpose for it. You know, of course, I'm fascinated and interested about all these methodologies and therapies. But what I've learned is that we are all unique, every single one of us, and not all the types of tools or therapies that you use will work on everyone. So I like to have a toolbox with lots of tools in it, and then I kind of pull out the ones that I feel are going to work with my clients and are suitable for them. So yeah. But yes, so I have my podcast and the radio show. So I used to work on the radio show called the Business Bunker Show, and I had my own show called Mindset Matters. Just recently in June, I came away from the radio side of things, and I've turned it into a full-blown podcast. And I've actually renamed Mindset Matters as Let's Talk Clarity. And the whole idea of this podcast is, again, to highlight the importance of mental health and well-being, and to support people out there who may be going through a difficult time or have loved ones who are going through challenging times in their lives, and how they can support them as well. Because often we forget about the people who are the carers, or the parents who are having to look after the children or the people with those challenges. And it's just an absolutely inspiring show for me. I've had people share their deepest, darkest secrets, their life experiences. I've had expert professionals, you know, people like Billy Schwer, who is a British boxing champion, Aisha Cuthbert, who went to the Olympics. I've had the mayors of Bromley on there, and many other councillors and MPs. So it's really inspiring to know that I've been able to get so many people together to talk about things that really matter.
Yeah, I think if we continue talking about what you are doing currently, we might need a one dedicated podcast for only this, you know, 1 hour session minimum, maybe we need. Anyways, so thank you very much for your all these areas which you are, you know, at the end, what I feel is that your passion, which somehow I'm also in line with the same passion, we have learned something technically, non-technically, our experiences, our different tools, therapies, all these things. And this the time, this the age where we should return back to our society, regardless if it
Yeah.
is a local community, global community. You have kids, you have children, students, youth. Because in my area, the most passionate thing which I work these days is two areas. One is the parenting, and
Yep.
second is the youth development program. So these are the two my passions currently where I'm focusing, and we'll talk about when somebody takes me also as a guest. Maybe I'll talk about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll take you as a guest. You know that,
Okay,
absolutely.
so let's start our formal question answer about what points which I have in my mind
Yeah,
to talk about, because
absolutely.
today's session we have to focus on the well-being and mental health of our youth, particularly in the
Yeah,
education sector. How what challenges and how challenges they are facing, what is their environmental and circumstances impact on their,
mm,
regardless from their home, in their schools, in their colleges, universities, or in the society. So this is the
absolutely.
topic which we will talk about today. And my first point, again coming back to something related to your background, is that um, if I'm taking this particular topic, that well-being in the youth, what is your story behind this? You have just mentioned about your childhood experiences, but if you can just narrate it in a different way, that currently what your tools and your therapies are there, and linked with this today's topic, that youth, well-being. So how your story started exactly?
Oh gosh, we'll be here till next year. Um, so, as I said, the main story started from when I was working in the education sector.
Mhm.
And you see what goes on. There's a lot of pressure in meeting academic or academia levels through Ofsted and all of that. And of course, there are children. You've got, the children that just fly high. Then you've got children that struggle a little bit. Now, my educational background is I wasn't a high flying A-star student. I found education quite challenging, maybe because I didn't have the confidence, who knows at the time. And I've seen the struggle. So when I started teaching, I could see some of the mental barriers and the mindset and the stresses and anxiety that these young people were facing. And at the time, I started training up as a coach and an NLP practitioner, because I came across it and I thought, you know what, this is a fantastic tool, not only just for me, but it's that personal development, but also something I could impart on the children and hopefully my colleagues and then the parents. Because at the end of the day, it's about a triangle, and it's about getting all three working together. It's not that children in isolation have to work on themselves, and then the parents and then teachers. And we know teachers and I know that we go through really, really stressful job. There's a lot of high demands.
Yeah.
And but with my experience of coaching in NLP, I realized you could easily integrate all of those aspects into your teaching routine. However, unfortunately, long story short, I left the teaching profession due to personal reasons. I had my own burnout, depression, and stress and anxiety. And that's another story. That is definitely another story as the reasons why. But when I was going through my recovery, I realized that more than ever, children need to be equipped with this.
Yeah.
So tools like, for example, tapping, which is EFT, emotional freedom tapping, which is like, if you're not sure what that is, you tap on areas of your face and your upper part of the body. It's like acupuncture, but without the needle, so not painful. And what it
It's a
does
virtual needle.
so you just tap here,
Yeah.
and they've got these pressure points up here
Yeah.
and along here. I love this one here. And the idea is it releases the negative emotional, you take them through a process. I have done this already on so many young people, and it is also a self-help tool. There was a young girl that I coached for almost 2 years through various aspects, from resilience to confidence to peer pressure. And we used a lot of this technique. And now she's just flying like a butterfly. I remember our very last session, she said, "Zeenat, you have given me the wings to fly. And if I ever need you, I know where you are." And it's such a beautiful feeling to hear that. And even now she's doing wonderful. So tools like that help. IEMT is another form that can help young people. I'm talking about young people, it can help anyone, but IEMT is about helping people with trauma, again, anxiety, stress, confidence, PTSD, and all of these aspects. And I've had wonderful results with that.
So this is how you perceived all these things, and this is what your journey started. Okay. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
My next point. What do you believe that the concerns of such huge rise in mental health issues in the young generation today? What are the concerns exactly? I mean,
wow. Okay.
Why this is huge rises now these days?
Yeah.
Among all the societies, regardless of any country. I mean, you talk about Asian countries, European, America, everywhere. This is a common global problem.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's so many factors that apply to this, and we can look at cultural, so where you come from, your background, the pressures of that, financial situations, so whether it's the parents struggling or young people in university because of financial circumstances there, and then they're worried about their future. We've got the environment. There's a new phenomenon amongst the new generation. I actually did a talk on that recently for the Bromley Buzz, which is a podcast here in the borough of Bromley that I run with the co-host of. Darren Will is the founder, and there's another lady called Sarah Mark Collins. And the three of us, we are the Bromley Buzz team. And we were at the Greener Cleaner Hub, which is a place that's for sustainability and environment. And I did a talk on eco-anxiety.
Exactly.
And it's really interesting, to the point that these young people, the future generation, are worried about what their planet will look like. And they are struggling to make life decisions, for example, about having families, having children. So can you imagine the impact on that if they decide they don't want to have children? And already there is less and less young people that are having children today. So there's this massive knock-on effect. Now, going back to the education sector, especially here in the UK, there's a cost, there's a budget, there's always a budget. Even when you're referring children for special support and special educational needs, there is a process. And sometimes this process just takes far too long. Something needs to shift here. And this is what the problem is, because we know through data and stats that children between the age of sort of 7 and 12, that's when things start, the world and people, life starts to make a huge impact on their mental health and well-being. And if there are issues and challenges and they are not addressed in the right way, by the age of 14 is where you start to embed that within your behaviors, your lifestyle, and therefore becomes more challenging to deal with as you get older. Hence, you may go down a really strong mental health problem or even mental illness. And that's not even talking about if, genetics come into play. So if things are hereditary and within the family. So, yes. And then, of course, the pandemic. The pandemic, unfortunately, has been has played a huge impact on the mental health of young people. They've missed out on a lot. Yeah.
So what I if I summarize it, so there are a lot of factors which can impact in the. You rightly said the age of 7 to 14 is the delicate age where kids and children, they start learning new things and they start developing those behaviors, and it becomes part of their character, which reflects in their personalities. And by age of teenage, 14 and plus, it gets much mature, and it's very difficult to that
Absolutely.
particular time to modify that mold, so it's very
Yeah.
important. So family issues, your parents issues, your any challenges in the schools, if bullying happening, or if any some kids, they don't like studies, sometimes I've seen it, they don't like particular subject.
Yeah.
And don't forget another one major issue which I always want to highlight in all of my discussions. Social media is playing a major role in such positive side as well as negative side
Of
as well.
course.
So it's up to us how we can
Yeah.
adopt those. But
Do you know?
human psychology is very delicate. No, we take negative things so easily. That's the reason. Yeah. Thank you for this
No,
detailed answer.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you said, there, in everything, there is positives and there are negatives, but it's about taking a little bit of those aspects. But I think the important thing to highlight is as well is not being afraid to have these open conversations with our young people. Of course, they
yeah.
have to be age appropriate. That's really important. But we have to be open, because at the end of the day, we as adults or the carers and parents are not going to be with them for the rest of their lives. So we have to try and equip them as the best we can and allow them to make those choices as well. And
That's
I,
correct.
I do come across a lot of aspects when I was teaching that there are rules and regulations that are too much. That protection, protecting the children, almost just wrapping them up in cotton wool. And honestly, wrapping them up in cotton wool
Mhm.
doesn't help them in the long run.
Yeah. Zeenat, I'm going to pick up a couple of comments also for
Yeah.
same time, so
Yes, I
which
can
are
see them.
related to our discussion. Let me take one comment, which is I've just published here. This is from Saida Naseem Mehdi. Um, what I understand, Saida means female, most probably. Absolutely. Creating a safe and supporting space is essential for young people to share their struggles openly, paving the way for understanding, healing, and brighter futures. She rightly said, yeah.
Rightly,
This is very important.
absolutely.
This is very important.
And that's where the Let's Talk Better campaign that I run
Yes.
is so vital. It's about creating those spaces for young people to come along and talk and express what's going on without judgment, and just simply listening and let them voice. We don't always have to have an answer,
Yeah,
right? And it's okay to say, you know what, I don't have the answers, but let them voice what's going on.
exactly. Yeah. So being parents and being teachers and being parents, one of the most important thing what is that we should listen 70% to them, so and 30% we should talk, as
Yeah,
a
it's like that
parent.
80-20% rule, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
80-20 is different rule, but this is my own perception. Maybe you can fluctuate the percentage. This is what my experience. That 70-30, but what we do reverse. We talk 70% and we listen only 30%. There is the problem, so we have to reverse this percentage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah,
Can I just also
please.
highlight on that? It's one of the things, if you remember being a child, we were always encouraged to ask questions. I know
Yeah,
I was like, why is this? What's this? And, we were encouraged to do that because curiosity helps
yes,
us grow, right?
yeah,
But I don't know where along the line, as you got older, it was almost, it got to the point where when children wanted want to ask questions, we're almost like, not right now. I haven't got time. Or
Yes.
it's not a good, it's not good right. Oh, I can't answer that right now. It's not the right time. Wait till you're older. And it's all of these, we suddenly put these barriers.
That's correct.
And we all do that. And I think it's so important that we have to catch ourselves and not stop children from being curious, even as we grow up. I mean, as an adult as well, I've met so many people, including myself. I sometimes fear of asking a question because of the experiences I've had and the self-confidence. And I know the answers, or I know I want to say something and I know it's good. Like at school when you put your hand up, I know the answer. Anyway,
that's but some children, even they know the answers, but they are afraid of raising their hand. So this is very important.
Fear of looking too clever or too bright. They think, oh, if I put my hand up and say the answer, they'll think I'm, excuse the negative connotation, but they'll think I'm a nerd or I'm a clever boots or whatever. And it's not a good feeling to be in.
Being parents, I myself also, improving myself day by day. But, when the question, you rightly said, the curiosity and these questions, medically, it starts your thought process. And when your human beings' thought process starts and it works on our brain, brain cells starts working.
Yeah.
And the more we use our brain, the more it will become efficient and effective. So thought process starts from curiosity, asking questions, and for parents, particularly the suggestion for parents, including me and everyone, that we should encourage our kids, students, young, small kids, let them ask the question, regardless right question or wrong question, that will be justified in the answer, but let them ask the question. Good. Great. Now let's come to my next point. As a clarity coach now, can you brief me why you put the word clarity coach, the clarity coach? So what is the idea behind this name of this theme, or what you call it?
So the reason I call myself the clarity coach, because when I think about myself and my life experiences until I got to this point, for me, I always struggled to get clarity, to understand.
Perfect.
And I was never explained. It was like people would explain it in one way, and we don't all understand in one way. If we were to look at, when you're visual, kinesthetic, logical, all of those, we all learn in different ways. We have a strength in one area or the other. So clarity is about how could I now help my clients get more clarity by different ways of explaining and showing.
Perfect.
Here's a funny story, and it reflects that. So when I went to buy my house, my first flat ever, I went along with my mother. So I said, come with me, please, because, I know nothing about this. And so she came along, and I'm sat in front of the broker, and he's talking to me about lending, mortgages, finances. And this is where I start going, beep, boop, beep, boop, or the alerts go off, and I get this blank look on my face. I go white. My mother looks at me and she went, breathe. And then the gentleman goes to me, you haven't understood a word I've said. And I went, I don't want a mortgage anymore. I don't want a house. I think it's okay. I'll go rent, And he's like, no, Zeenat, sit down. Let me explain it. He then gets this big piece of A3 paper and he starts drawing me pictures. And he drew the house, he drew the roof and the chimney. And in each of those aspects, he wrote different elements of what I need to and how it connected. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that before? But it's amazing because he took the time, he listened, he looked at my stress and the way I was behaving and thought, okay, of course he wants me to invest in him and be my mortgage broker, but it was so beautiful. And even now, what is it? 15 years on, he's still my mortgage broker and still renews my mortgages for me.
Yeah. So it's a nice story you attach with your theme basically, because he changed the mode of communication to explain it. The more you are clear, it is better. It is well communicated. That's the key. Why I asked this question because my next point was related to this, that as a clarity coach, so I thought of let audience should know that why clarity is there in this question.
Absolutely.
As the clarity coach, what support do you provide to children, to young people, and what has been the impact so far after you give them your sessions? And then as a clarity coach, you need to keep this.
Yeah. So, like I said before, there was that young girl who said to me that she has the wings to fly now. So that's where I gave her the clarity of where she was at in her life in school. I got her to gain clarity on her own behavior, her emotion, so how she reacts, her feelings in different situations, and then gave her the tools to work on that. So taking them through a slow process. And a lot of what I do is about asking open-ended questions. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I don't have the cure. Everything I do is making sure that my clients, so these young people or adults, they take on ownership and accountability for themselves, and then I help them with the accountability, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Yes,
I don't know if I answered your question. So
yes. I mean, so basically my question was, no, you almost answered it. Almost, huh?
Almost, not quite. I do waffle and go off track a lot.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. So basically, my question was a similar question, that when some kids or young fellows, they reach out to you, so you sit with them, discuss with them, understand their challenges, understand their issues, and based on your tools, based on your processes. Sorry.
Sorry, Imran, to interrupt. One of the key things as well for me is to find out what is their passion, what do they love, what are their hobbies, what excites them, because we often forget as we get older, the things that we love, we tend to often push them aside or don't do them anymore. And by
That's correct.
Going back and remembering, things that ignite you and motivate you, areas in your life where you were successful and you actually did achieve something, is so important. So it's not just about finding challenges and issues in them, it's about looking at the good things and using that as their foundation.
Yeah. That's true, actually. The passion is important, and most of the times we suppress those passions in our kids, so we don't encourage. Forget about our kids, ourselves, we bury our passions, and due to so many reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Life takes over. Life does take over. Yeah. Can I give another example, which is really important?
Please.
And it's not just about listening, it's also looking at people's body language. But here's an example I used in school a lot. Children, so there was a situation where this young boy came in at lunchtime, came back into the classroom and was going, Miss Noorani, they are all picking on me. And I went, all picking on you? And he went, yeah, everybody is picking on me. And so I said, everybody? He goes, yes, everybody. And I went, everybody? And he kept going, why do you keep repeating everybody? Why do you keep saying that? And I was like, tell me. And I took him to the window. So you're saying everybody's picking on you. And I started to point to people in the playground. I said, okay, those children there. And he went, no. And I went, oh, the teacher's over there. And he went, no, because he's like, everybody. And we went through it, and it turned out it wasn't everybody. It was only one person that was picking on him. So the word everybody was what I was trying to get him to understand. to communicate and articulate that you can't put everybody into that emotion that he's feeling and what's happening to him. So it's very interesting.
So this also, this also tells us that one single person could impact as an everybody also,
Yeah. So everybody, always,
okay. So,
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are key words.
So I'm going to pick up one question. Yeah, I'm picking up another question here from Marlene Lamb. Let me show it here. Her question is, what is your best tool to get people out of freeze, fight, flight? How quick does it work? How long does that last? No meds.
No meds. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So everybody, and that is everybody, we are all different, okay? And we react and absorb things at a different pace as, for example, you and I, or Marlene. So again, it depends on the experience that they're having. Now, there are various tools that you can use, like EFT, IEMT, or you can take them through a process to really understand where it's coming from. So there could be a foundation of their belief systems. You can also use tapping. How quick does it work? Well, it depends on the person. And it could be that one tool that I might use, like say, for example, IEMT, may not work to help that person come out of that freeze, fight, flight mode. But there'll be some sort of release. So I'd use another tool. So again, it depends what that person has experienced, how long they've been experiencing it, and what they want.
It depends on person to person, circumstances, a lot of. It's similar like, when we go to doctor, maybe we have a fever. Sometimes one medicine doesn't work with us, but same medicine works for other patient. So doctor has to diagnose, investigate, and similarly coaches do the same thing.
It's the same thing. And also what people need to understand is that we don't give a cure. Okay. So what happens, we help you through a process. So a lot of it is through exploration, and you help you through a process. And the key is you learn to manage those emotions. You manage those thought patterns because you become more aware of them. So, for example, you may go through a year, 2 years of not experiencing anything. Then all of a sudden, life comes along because we can't control the way life is happening. Something might trigger that memory that you had around that incident. So what might happen is you might freeze a little bit, but you might not freeze in the same way. But what you do have is your internal change of tools that will help you manage that moment so you do it more successfully. It's a bit like stress, isn't it? With children, children, adults, stress will always be there. You can't get out of stress. And actually, some stress is good for you. It's only unhelpful if it's interfering with your day-to-day life and you can't operate. Because it keeps you motivated. Okay, it's a bit like the lion in the caveman scenario that you want to run away from. And what we have to learn is that we need to learn to manage the levels of our stress in different scenarios.
That's
Thank you for that question.
Thank you. This was Marlene's question. Good question. Actually, you're right. There are good stress and bad stress as well. So good stress means it keeps pushing us to achieve our goals, objectives, as long as it is not impacting on our physical or mental health. But if it lasts for more and we don't do anything, then it becomes negative stress or bad stress. So we need to navigate between bad, and we need to differentiate also.
Yeah, and we have to come away from the thinking of the victim mentality mode as well. And we need to equip our young children with that understanding that they are not always, going to be the victim. and look at the bigger picture. It's so important to look at the bigger picture of things.
Next point is in my mind is that what has been the biggest change you have made to better yourself so far? I mean,
for myself,
during this year journey.
Not being afraid to, and don't get me wrong, there are times when I kind of still go, but it's about not being afraid to ask for help when needed.
That's the key.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm talking of help in terms of my business, when it's growing, or even sometimes in my personal life, but also not being ashamed if I need to go and see a coach or a therapist or a counselor. It's not, it's funny because like in America, it's like if you haven't got a therapist or a counselor, you're weird. Everybody seems to have one there, right? There's no judgment on that. Whereas here in the UK, you tell someone you've got a counselor or a therapist, they kind of go, oh, okay, something's really wrong. Sometimes you just want to talk. You just need somebody to listen. It's okay.
It's perfectly okay. Yes, you are right. And actually, my question was why I asked this question because I wanted to cascade this to our young and youth when they are into such situations. If parents are listening, let them show this video to their kids and youth and teenage, their children. Whenever they feel something similar, some stress, some issues in their life, physically or mentally, or they need to seek out outside of themselves some help from parents, from coaches, from teachers. They should seek help. This is what the key is in this question is. And you rightly said.
And do you know what's also interesting? Because sometimes as parents or carers, and we're working with children, we sometimes do find it difficult to see the broader picture. Yeah. And by going externally, you're more likely to see the things that what maybe parents are having barriers with. So an example is I'm not a parent. I am not a parent. And hats off to all the parents there. They, you do an amazing job, and the challenges and the financial situations. And I know both parents at the, nowadays have to work. There's a lot more single parents out there, and it's not an easy job. However, I come from a different perspective. I have come from the expert side of studying about it, being a teacher. So my view, my bird's eye view is very different. And sometimes I can see what's not in there, because when you're in it, even when you're in a problem, you don't see the solution outside. And being on the outside, I can see more. And don't get me wrong, I'm an auntie. So I've got two beautiful niece and nephew. There's a massive age gap between me and my siblings. I used to bring up my siblings, my two younger siblings, change their nappies, shower them. So I was basically like a mother in those days. My mum would go out and I would look after them and babysit them and do everything. So I do have that motherly instinct. I just don't have my own kids.
That's true. Actually, in most of the families, regardless of any culture or society, the eldest sister becomes always a mother for younger siblings.
Yeah. Well, I think I didn't have a choice.
Because mothers depend on elder daughters, or can take care of younger boy or son or daughter or whoever. So offload her activities to her elder daughter. That's true. Okay. I have one more comment from Noor Qureshi. Is a bit interesting comment. Parents need time to give to their kids from birth until teens, not even teenage, until after that also. That's perfectly right. And he said, be like Mr. Bean with them, be a coach or mentor. Interesting comment. Yes, become a Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean is an interesting character. Learn from, when I watch his movies, I learn many things, which, mostly people also learn there. So it's a good point. Yeah. Thank you, Noor. Interesting
That's
question.
brilliant. Can I actually, because we're talking about Mr. Bean and movies,
Yeah.
actually, it just triggered. I recently watched a series on Disney Plus, and it was called This Is Us. And I literally binge watched it back to back completely. And it's about how these two people met and from the different cultures and society and the challenges they had. And then when they had children, and then when they lost one child, they had triplets, but one was lost, and then they adopted. It's just, it takes you through this generation of future, and it's based on really understanding people, families' mindset, the children, the mental health and well-being challenges. It's absolutely fantastic, so I highly recommend watching that series. This Is Us.
I have also noted. I'll do that.
Definitely, I'm going to watch it again because I want to take out quotes and words and scenarios from there, because they have such an impact. Literally, I had my hairs up on end at the back of my neck.
Perfect. Great. Okay, now we are reaching almost end of our session. So I wish we could have more. We could have more time. We can talk about and talk and talk and talk. And I appreciate your time, and I know your skills, your knowledge, your passion. I can maybe spend whole day with you and discuss a lot of so many things. But definitely we'll be in touch again for another session. Before we close out, I have few more points, couple of more points. Second last point, I would say, what is your best quote which you always admire and which has changed your life?
Oh gosh. Okay, there's quite a lot, but the one that I always use
Pick up one
on
only.
my slides when I'm training is it by Dwyer. If you don't change the way you look at things, the things you look at won't change.
Yes,
So
great.
it's how
Yes.
you look at things and look at those perspectives. And it takes me back to one of the main tools that I learned when I was training to be an NLP practitioner is the different perspectives, the bird's eye view, first, second and third position, which I'm sure you know as well, very well. And that really highlighted how important it is just to sit in those different things and really look at things differently.
Yeah, you rightly said, actually, when you said bird eye view, the point was very well. The reason is sometimes parents, even teachers or carers, so we sit within the same shell. We don't see outside of the shell. So we might have a better solution, whoever is sitting outside of that problematic area. And sometimes if our kids have some issues, some challenges, we are also impacted. So our thought process totally is different. We see problem as is the problem is ours problem, our impacting on our health physically and mentally. So seeking counselor and coaches and who are sitting outside, and you being an expert in this domain, gets a different perspective and different information and different solutions. Basically, it's good you highlighted that point. Yeah,
that's key what you're saying, because there is always a solution. Okay, it may not be the solution that you want or that you're seeking, but you're going to have to make a decision.
Yes.
Right. And that's really important. So with that, there's actually one other thing that I always say to my young people is take control of the things you can control and let go of the things that can't, or if they harm you. Yeah, so let those things go. See what's important.
Yeah, that is important. Yes, you are right. I did not want to close it, but I have to finish it. Now, my last point. Let's summarize this whole session in your words. Being a coach, what do you advise parents, carers, teachers, or even young generation, whoever are watching or they will watch this? What is the best way and couple of steps, or 1 or 2, 3 steps, what they need to do as per your advice, expert opinion, in such scenarios where young generation have some similar challenges and we need to fix it?
Okay. That's not a short question, Imran.
You have to squeeze 45-minute session in 45 seconds.
Okay, 45 seconds. First of all, I don't advise. Okay, because that's one thing I don't do is advise. I make suggestions, but I try and get them things. But what I do say is, please, 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 whether you're a teacher or a parent, invest in your children. Invest in their mental health and well-being, because they only have one life, one health, one mind, and one body. And help them for that to be the best that they can, so that they can achieve the other things in their life successfully. As far as investing in coaches, it's so important. Have those conversations, and if you can't, there are always other alternatives, but have the conversations with people. All right. And for the young people, don't be afraid to ask for help. You'll be surprised how many young people are going through the same things or similar things as you are, because we always feel that it's just ourselves. It's just me. It's not happening to anyone else. But actually, you'd be surprised that it's happening to a lot of people, and you'll only know by talking. Sorry, that wasn't 45 seconds.
Yeah, almost. That's great. Yes. Parents, teachers, and carers, these are the main pillars in our society who is working and developing our future, building our future. And our young generation, our children, our students, they are our future.
Yeah.
And if their mental well-being and physical well-being is not taken care of, we are compromising on our bright future. So it's an awareness, it's a campaign, it is an alarming for everyone that we should work on these lines, that our bright future is in the hand of our children, our young, and we have to invest time, we have to invest money, we have to invest whatever we could do from within our capacity to brighten our future, and our young generation is our future.
Yeah. Imagine how you feel when you're happy and the things you can achieve. And when children are happier, they achieve more.
That's true. That's true. Thank you very much, Zeenat. It's a lovely session. I really appreciate, and I'm sure our audience, whoever has watched us.
Thank you for their questions.
Yeah, they're good questions. Thank you for everyone. And this session will be recorded. So as soon as we finish this session, recording will be available on LinkedIn, so people can watch us again, our recording. And still, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free particularly to reach out to Zeenat Noorani. She's an expert in this domain. And my suggestion, do connect with her, and she can you can send message to Zeenat, and she can advise you. And if you want to pick up and adopt any program from her, she's available and she can guide. That's it, Zeenat. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much again, Imran, for this lovely opportunity to chat with you, which I always love chatting to you, and just for us to share our love and passion about young people.
That's true, and I'm sure our audience has enjoyed it. Until next podcast, guys, I will see you again with some other special guest. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Thank you, Zeenat, once more, and thank you, our audience. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.